This man terrorized his neighbors with a tape measure, citing them if their grass was half an inch too long. This same man terrorized his victims with a rope.
4 members of the Otero family were found bound, gagged, and strangled.
The investigators looked shaken.
The shocking part? They were the same person, driven by the same obsession. The story of BTK's double life is a myth. The truth is far more disturbing. Welcome to Juju's Crime Watch. Today, we are deconstructing the myth of BTK. Based on a unified psychological profile of Dennis Rader, we will explore a chilling thesis. Dennis Rader did not live a double life. He lived a single, psychologically unified life. A life where his public persona and his monstrous crimes were in simply different expressions of the exact same core psychopathy. The man who terrorized his neighbors with a tape measure was driven by the same psychological engine as the man who terrorized his victims with ropes. The difference wasn't in the pathology, but in the legality of its expression. Join us as we reveal how the monster was never truly hidden. He was performing in plain sight, all along. The conventional wisdom says Dennis Rader was hiding in plain sight. But a more chilling and more accurate assessment is that he was performing his psychopathy in plain sight. His jobs, his roles in the community, these were not a cover for his pathology. They were sanctioned outlets for it. Let's start in 1991. This is the year Rader commits his last known murder. And it's the same year he begins working as a compliance supervisor for the Wichita suburb of Park City. This is no coincidence. It represents a psychological transition. The risks of murder were escalating, and this new job gave him a safer, state-sanctioned arena to exercise the exact same sadistic and controlling urges that defined him as BTK.
Dogs are somewhat territorial as well as vicious.
He was the king of Park City. He could go anywhere to do inspections. And I think maybe that satisfied his need for control.
Noise, I just went in. She came out of the bedroom and thought that a car had hit her house. And I told her that I used the roofs of being wanted. I was on the run. I needed food, car, warm up. And I asked her, I handcuffed her and kind of talked to her, told her that I would like to get some food, get her keys, her car, and kind of rest assured, talk with her a little bit.
This normal normal average guy that's married, has 2 kids, does all the normal stuff, that he could do such horrible things to so many innocent people.
What sick, perverted pleasure can you possibly get enjoying looking into somebody's terrified eyes as you strangle the life out of them?
I am BTK. And I'm the guy they're after, 100%.
I trusted this man.
He was probably the most arrogant person I have ever met in my life.
His neighbors didn't see him as a dedicated public servant. They described him as an unpleasant man who seemed to relish finding reasons to issue citations for minor code violations. The stories from this time are incredibly telling. Rader was known to carry a tape measure, meticulously checking if a resident's grass was too long. In one instance, a neighbor's wife caught Rader in their own backyard, filming their house. These are not the actions of a normal person. They are low-stakes power plays that perfectly mirror the core components of his criminal behavior. The obsessive planning and surveillance he once applied to his victims, whom he chillingly called his projects. were now being aimed at his neighbors. The feeling of dominance he got from binding a victim was now being satisfied by the authority to issue a citation and legally compel another person's behavior. He was, in a very real sense, binding them with city ordinances and torturing them with constant harassment. This job wasn't his cover, it was his sublimation. This state-sanctioned predation was just a warm-up. But what Rader did next, with his other day job, created a perverse feedback loop of terror that is almost too perfect to believe. From 1974 to 1988, Dennis Rader worked as an installation manager for ADT Security Services. This period covers the first 7 of his confirmed murders. The psychological significance of this is almost impossible to overstate. As BTK, he was personally instilling a deep and abiding fear in the community of Wichita. And as an ADT employee, he was professionally tasked with alleviating that very fear. This created a perverse feedback loop. His crimes generated a market for his professional services.
I could pick most locks with a credit card.
I know when you're home and when you're not.
This is the ADT SafeWatch Plus home security system.
They were asleep. They didn't even know we was in the house.
It links your home to an ADT monitoring center where trained security professionals help monitor your home 24 hours a day.
If I had a family, I'd want to protect them from guys like me.
When trouble strikes, ADT can take action.
Summon police, there's a break-in.
ADT helps protect your family and home against break-ins and helps with medical emergencies and fires. Call 1-800-ADT-INFO for affordable security for your home. Only $195 installed and $19.95 for monthly monitoring.
The house with an alarm system you skip. The others you go for it.
Call 1-800-ADT-INFO. You don't want to confront trouble face-to-face.
And his profession, in turn, gave him unparalleled access and insight into the homes of his potential victims.
On the roads, I knew the people. I drive by, watch cars, people pull out of their homes, people go.
He walked into the homes of concerned citizens. He learned their layouts, he identified their vulnerabilities, and he understood their security protocols from the inside out. This knowledge was invaluable for a man who planned his intrusions with obsessive care. Colleagues from his time at ADT later noted that Rader drew incredibly intricate, accurate layouts of security systems and homes. This meticulous, controlling mindset wasn't separate for his 2 lives. It was a unified trait, applied equally to designing a security system as it was to diagramming a crime scene. This connection is so profound that his employment has been noted in investigations into other unsolved cases. In 1976, a 16-year-old named Cynthia Kinney disappeared in Oklahoma. She was last seen at a laundromat directly across from a bank where an ADT security system was being installed at that exact time, raising the chilling possibility that his profession provided direct opportunities for his pathology. Selling security to the very people he terrorized is disturbing enough. But it was Rader's most respected public role as a church president that would become the stage for his single, most depraved act.
He will be an usher. He will run the sound system. He'll count the money after the service. If something needs to be done, Dennis was always available to help.
Do you pray? Yes, I do. Study the Bible daily, and that helps not only just for spiritual, but a lot of it's good meanings and good concepts, things that you can use in life.
Even serial killers can believe in God. This is not inconsistent. Being in charge, being in control, power, importance is a theme in his life.
In Count 8, it is claimed that on or about the 27th day of April 1985 to the 28th day of April 1985, in Sedgwick County, Kansas, it is claimed that you unlawfully killed a human being, Marine Hedge, maliciously, willfully, deliberately, and with premeditation by strangulation, inflicting injuries from which Marine Hedge did die on April 27, 1985. Can you tell me what occurred on that day?
Well, actually, kind of like the others, she was chosen. I went through the different phases, stalking phase, and since she lived down the street from me, I could watch the coming and going quite easily. Over at Woodlawn and 21st Street at Bowling Alley there at that time. Before that, I dressed until I had some other clothes on, changed clothes. I went to the bowling alley, went in there, the precincts of bowling, called a taxi, had a taxi take me out to Park City, had my kit with me as a bowling bag.
All right, that was Park City in Sedgwick County,
yes,
Kansas?
Yes, sir. Well, actually, kind of like the others, she was chosen. I went through the different phases, stalking phase, and since she lived down the street from me, I could watch the coming and going quite easily. On that particular day, I very carefully snuck into the house, kind of like a cat burglar, and after checking the house, she wasn't there. So about that time, the doors rattled, so I went back to one of the bedrooms and hid back there in one of the bedrooms. She came in with a male visitor. They were there for maybe an hour or so. He left. I waited till wee hours in the morning and then proceeded to sneak into her bedroom and flip the lights on with a quick light, or I think the bathroom lights. I didn't want to flip her lights on, and she screamed, and I jumped on the bed and strangled her manually.
You just can't believe that you misread somebody this bad for so long.
I've lost track of how many murders that I've defended over the years. He's not even in my top 10 of people that I would consider dangerous just by how you meet them and talk with them. I've had other people that are just exude, meanness and fear. It's like, this guy, I don't even want to be in the same room with him, but not Dennis. I mean, I didn't get that from him.
BTK began today's letter with a question. How many do I have to kill before I get a name in the paper or some national attention?
He wanted to brag about it. He wanted to make sure that we, the police, found it undisturbed, and he wanted us to see his work and wanted us to realize the type of quote-unquote monster we were dealing with.
Moved her to the trunk of the car. Took the car over to Christ Lutheran Church. This is with the older church, and took some pictures of her.
All right, you took some photographs of her. What kind of camera did you use?
Poor Lord.
Did you keep those photographs?
Yes, the police probably have them.
All right, what happened then?
That was it. She went through, I tied it, she was already dead, so I took pictures of her in different forms of bondage, and that's probably what got me in trouble was the bondage thing. So anyway, that's probably the main thing. But anyway, after that, I moved her back out to the car, and then we went east on 53rd.
All right, what occurred then?
Sir?
What happened then?
Trying to find a place to hide her, hide the body.
Did you find a place?
Yes I did.
Where?
Couldn't tell you without looking at a map, but it was on 53rd, between Greenwich, maybe, what's the other one between Greenwich? Webb. I think between Webb and Greenwich, I found a ditch, a low place on the north side of the road, and hid her there.
Rader's roles as a Boy Scout leader and as the president of the Christ Lutheran Church Council are often presented as the most shocking parts of his public facade. But a clinical analysis shows these were strategic moves. For a man with a grandiose sense of self, these roles provided the community respect and power he craved. He wasn't just a member, he was a leader, a position that placed him above others and gave him control over their trust. The ultimate, horrific fusion of his public authority and his private depravity, occurred on April 27, 1985. After murdering his neighbor, Marine Hedge, Rader did something that proves the double life theory wrong. He used his keyholder access as church president to take her body to the church. Inside the sanctified space where he presided over council meetings, he covered the windows, arranged her body in grotesque bondage poses, and took photographs to satisfy his sexual fantasies. This was not the act of a man trying to keep his two worlds separate. It was the ultimate act of a predator, demonstrating his absolute power and contempt, defiling the very institution that granted him public respectability, and using it as a stage for his most private rituals. This fusion of the sacred and the profane is one of the most chilling aspects of the BTK case.
The worst part is just knowing that somebody that I went to church with, somebody that I communed with, was capable of this.
They were strangled. They were laying face down.
He didn't just choke them. He choked them multiple times.
Told them that they were going to die within a few minutes and tortured him, brought him back to life.
And he will murder again.
His family, his job, all that, those were just props. The thing that all of us remembered was that particular line, saying, how many more people do I have to kill before I get my name in the newspaper?
If you're finding this deep dive valuable and want to see more that go beyond the headlines, take a second right now to hit that subscribe button. It lets us know you want more content just like this. So how does a man who controlled every detail for 30 years finally get caught? His ego. And a single piece of outdated technology he thought he was too smart to get caught by. For over 3 decades, Dennis Rader's meticulous planning allowed him to evade capture, becoming one of America's most infamous cold cases. His downfall wasn't due to a single police breakthrough, but a direct consequence of his own psychology. His profound narcissism, wounded by the passage of time, compelled him to re-engage, leading him to make a fatal mistake in a technological world he no longer understood. After his final murder in 1991, BTK went silent for 13 years. But in March 2004, on the 30th anniversary of his first murders, the Wichita Eagle newspaper published an article suggesting that the once feared BTK was likely dead or imprisoned, essentially, a forgotten relic. For a man whose entire identity was pathologically tied to the power and terror of the BTK persona, being forgotten was the ultimate narcissistic injury. It was an erasure of his life's work. He began a desperate campaign to reassert his relevance. He mailed a letter to the newspaper containing a photocopy of Vicky Vagerly's driver's license and photos of her body from a 1986 cold case, proving he was still out there. This kicked off a year-long, reckless series of communications, all driven by a fatal need to be recognized again. This led to the moment his hubris finally consumed him. In his cat and mouse game with the police, he came to believe he was intellectually superior to everyone.
This is him coming out after 30 years and saying, I'm not as famous as Ted Bundy. I'm not as famous as the Hillside Strangler. I want my 15 minutes of shame, 15 minutes of infamy. And he is absolutely torturing this community and absolutely breaking the hearts of the victims' families.
He sent a note in one of his packages and asked a direct question. Could police trace a floppy disk if he sent them one? In a brilliant act of psychological manipulation, the police responded through a classified ad in the newspaper, falsely assuring him it was a safe way to communicate. Rader, the master manipulator, took the bait. He sent a purple floppy disk to a local TV station, believing he had outsmarted them all. What he failed to grasp was the revolution in digital forensics. Investigators didn't look at what was on the disk. They looked at what had been deleted. Using forensic software, they recovered hidden metadata embedded in a deleted Microsoft Word document. This invisible data was a digital fingerprint. It revealed two critical clues. The document was last saved at the Christ Lutheran Church, and the user was identified as Dennis. An internet search instantly connected the two facts to Dennis Rader, the president of the church council.
There's the file on there, testa.rtf, which was a Microsoft Office, or it's a Word document file.
And then you see Dennis, and then more gibberish, and you see Christ Lutheran Church, and there up in the corner of their website was a picture of the president of the church, Dennis.
Authorities then secretly obtained a warrant to test the DNA from a PAP smear his daughter had taken at a university clinic. The familial DNA was a perfect match to evidence Rader had left at a crime scene 3 decades earlier. On February 25, 2005, Dennis Rader was arrested. During his confession, he was shocked that the police had lied to him. His own words perfectly summed up his downfall. The Floppy did me in. A man obsessed with tangible physical control was ultimately undone by invisible, intangible data he could neither see nor dominate. The terror of Dennis Rader lies not in the chilling idea that a monster can wear a mask of normalcy. It's in the far more disturbing reality that a community can mistake the daily expressions of a monster's psychopathy for mere civic unpleasantness. Rader didn't hide his core personality. He displayed it for everyone to see. His neighbors saw the controlling, petty tyrant with a tape measure. They saw a strange and difficult man. They just didn't realize they were seeing the low-stakes version of a killer. It leaves us with a deeply unsettling thought. The most dangerous monsters are not always the ones who lurk in the shadows. Sometimes, they are the ones who operate confidently in the light.
Dennis Rader did not want that evidence to come out. He did not want people to see him in a negative light. He wanted people to see him as some gentleman serial killer. We believed that that was totally inappropriate.
I want him to suffer. For the last 5,326 days, I have wondered what it would be like to confront the walking cesspool that took my mother's precious life. If I had your devil nature, I would delight in the fact that your congregation has turned its back on you, that your wife has divorced you, that your own children have disowned you. You have now lost everything, and you will forever remain nothing.
It's been almost 19 years now that my brother and I had the most important woman in our lives taken from us. It's not fair that we had so little time with her. It's not fair that she doesn't get to see me with her grandchildren. My mother begged for her life, yet he showed no remorse.
Apologize to the victims' families. There's no way that I can ever repay them.
Their pathology so enmeshed with the mundane that we fail to see it until it is far, far too late.
Pitiable for Mr. Rader to stand here looking all pale and pasty and say how sorry he is. You know, gosh, I'm really sorry. Well, what else do you say after you kill 10 people?
What do you think of this unified profile of the BTK killer? Does it change how you view the case? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And for more deep dives that challenge the way we look at true crime, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Juju's Crime Watch. Thanks for watching.